So do you want to know how to be able to map out the systems in your business easily in a way that's flexible so they can change if needed? It's actually relatively simple, but we all seem to put this complexity up in front of it and we never seem to get it done. Now, caveat here, right? If you're the owner of the business, let me be really clear that mapping out all these systems is not the thing that's going to extract you from the nitty-gritty of the business. It's just not, right? And I can prove that to you by saying that we have a lot of business owners who come to us, they've already mapped out their systems, but they have the problem that the team is not using those systems, or the other thing they have is like the team is still coming to them with a ton of questions because there's so much stuff that's slightly outside of that standard operating procedure. But let's just say that's not a problem for you. And let's say you just want to figure out how to map out your systems. Okay, so the first thing that we will do, if we were to walk into your business to map out systems, what we'll do is we will walk through the customer journey. So we'll look at like what do things look like in all the steps of a customer coming in. So from the marketing to, let's say, for example, to the sales, to the contracting, to the production or delivery, to the quality control, to the billing, and to the financial reporting, etc. Let's just take that as a really oversimplified version of it, right? So all of those words that I just used, all of those areas that I've used will just become a box. And what we're building here is what we call the macro process map. So this is like the overall map of all the processes in the business. And there's probably only somewhere between 5 and 10 of them in any business, right? And that's the customer walkthrough of the business, the easiest way to think about it. But then there are some other areas that are not on the customer journey. So we've got things like HR and admin and various different things like that. So we put those little boxes in there as well. So basically, we're drawing a map of a journey of the customer going around that way, and just in the middle, then we'll just put those boxes. Well, you can put them wherever you want. It doesn't really matter. But now what we've done is we've identified the main processes in the business at a very high level, which then gives us the framework to be able to hang everything else on, right? The next thing that we do after that is we do a thing called money mapping. And I'm not going to get into the detail of this, but really what we're going to do in money mapping is we're looking at all those processes and we're looking at you, the business owner, and how much time and money you're putting into each of those processes and the value per hour of that. So that helps us quickly figure out the first processes that need to be mapped out so that we can get them off your plate and onto somebody else. So that kind of gives us that kind of cost benefit or that like highest return on investment, and that's where we start. So let's say we're starting in sales, right? Because that was what we identified for our money mapping. Well, then simply we're digging into sales and we're at a high level again, standing back and saying, okay, what is the sales process, right? So basically step 1, step 2, step 3. So a customer comes in from marketing, this is what happens, then they go here, then they go here, then they go here, then they go here. And we're mapping out that in a graphic format just as a flow chart. So once we've got that done then, we probably have sub-processes in there. So we're looking into each of those and we're breaking those down, etc., etc. And we get to a point where we've got all the business mapped out at a macro level and then at a micro level. And then basically what we're doing is we're going into those micro levels and we're working out what is the standard operating procedure for each particular thing inside those micro processes. And that's basically it. Then your business processes are mapped out. Now, the thing to be careful of here is you've got to do this in a way that's very simple because those processes are going to change. You bring in a new piece of software, a new product, new anything, right? Or just you decide you're going to do something a different way. The process needs to be able to change easily, and that change needs to be able to be pushed out simply to everybody that's involved. So we need to make sure that these are done in a simple way that's easy to adjust afterwards. Otherwise, we go through all these processes again. So I think we need to just stop thinking about process mapping as being this huge task that's going to take years of time and that kind of thing, and actually simplify it and just do it that way. Just build out the macro process map. Do some kind of an ROI methodology then that tells you what's the next one that needs to be mapped. Do some micro process mapping, and then just write out the SOP for each of these. So once that's done then, obviously you need to store that somewhere. I'm not going to get into how we do that in this video. But then we need the team to be able to be familiar with that mapping process. And ideally the team are doing those lower level processes themselves, because when they do that, then it's a lot easier for them to change processes or map out new processes as they come on board. Because as a business owner, you don't want to be the one that's responsible for, when a new process comes up, a new piece of software, a new product or something comes in, it means that you have to take time out to go map out that whole process. Not the best use of your time, most likely, as a business owner. Much better off for the team to be able to do that. Then they've got ownership of that, and then any slight changes, you don't even need to know about it. They can map out those processes. So when that's done, it serves then as the training manual for the business. So when you have somebody new coming in, they can take that and they can use that to kind of insert themselves in the business. And I would say that probably take somebody off the street, give them a couple of weeks, they should be able to run their role in the business fairly easily with something like that. And the other thing then that business owners think this is going to do, which it does not do, is free up their time, right? Because remember, what we've built out here is the standard, right? This is the standard operating procedure. And the problem isn't that word standard, because a lot of the things that have us as business owners caught up in firefighting and caught up in all the hundreds of questions we have to answer every day for our team and caught up figuring out new things, and the stuff that pulls us away from the work we really want to be doing is unstandard, right? So it's that product or service that's gone out of sync, or it's the problem we have with somebody on the team, or it's a problem customer, or that piece of machinery isn't working, or that truck is broken down, or whatever. That's the kind of stuff that actually stops us in our tracks from getting what we need to get done and takes us out of working at the highest and best use of our time and into getting stuck in the nitty-gritty. So that's not standard, right? Standard operating procedure is never going to fix that, and we'll talk about that again and how you can build a decision-making framework for your team so that they can make those decisions, make those calls, fix those problems instead of you.